Allah, Father, universe.
Allah, Father, universe.
Father, love.
Father, love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My God.
My God.
And my salvation.
And my salvation.
By night.
By night.
And by day.
And by day.
Through his holy prophet.
Through his holy prophet.
Through Ali.
Through Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Please remain standing while we say praise and honors. First I give praise to Allah.
First I give praise to Allah.
Great God of the universe.
Great God of the universe.
Give honor to his holy and divine prophet.
Give honor to his holy and divine prophet.
Prophet Noble Ali.
Prophet Noble Ali.
Last prophet of these days and time.
Last prophet of these days and time.
I give honor to all true and divine prophets.
Give honor to all true and divine prophets.
Jesus,
Muhammad,
Buddha,
Buddha,
Confucius, etc.
etc.
I give honor to the forerunners of the prophet.
Give honor to the forerunners of the prophet.
Brother Marcus Scott.
Brother Marcus Scott.
Give honor to all past supreme grand advisors and moderators.
Give honor to all past supreme grand advisors and moderators.
More scientific America.
More scientific America.
Brother C. Curtin May.
Brother C. Curtin May.
Brother F. Nelson May.
Brother F. Nelson May.
Brother J. Blake May. Give honor to our past former grand chief moderators and more scientific America.
Give honor to our former past and supreme moderators and more scientific America.
Brother I love you.
Brother I love you.
Give honor to our present grand chief moderator and more scientific America Incorporated.
I give honor to our present grand chief moderator and more scientific America Incorporated.
Brother R. Jones Blake.
Brother R. Jones Blake.
Give honor to the assistant grand chief and more scientific America Incorporated.
I give honor to the assistant grand chief and more scientific America Incorporated.
Brother A. Hopkins Blake.
Brother A. Hopkins Blake.
Give honor to the national chairman and more scientific America.
Give honor to the national chairman and more scientific America.
Brother T. Hopkins Blake II.
Brother T. Hopkins Blake II.
Give honor to his assistant.
Give honor to his assistant.
Brother J. K. Field.
Brother J. K. Field.
Give honor to all national officials.
Give honor to all national officials.
In the organization.
Give
Give honor to all state officials.
honor to all state officials.
Of more scientific America Incorporated.
And more scientific America Incorporated.
Give honor to Grand Governor here in Washington, D.C.
Give honor to our grand governor here in Washington, D.C.
Brother H. Harris May.
Brother H. Harris May.
And to his assistant.
And to his assistant.
Assistant D. Jones May.
Assistant D. Jones May.
Give honor to all state officials.
Give honor to all state officials.
Give honor to all state officials and more scientific America.
Give honor to all state officials and more scientific America.
Give honor to our Grand Sheik here at Temple 71.
Give honor to our grand chief here at Temple 71.
Brother P.J. is here.
Brother P.J. is here.
And to his assistant.
And to his assistant.
Brother D. Smith Bay.
Brother D. Smith Bay.
And all this is sad.
All this is sad.
Give honor to both our flags.
Give honor to both our flags.
The American flag.
The American flag.
Flag our birth.
Flag our birth.
Give honor to the Moorish flag.
Give honor to the Moorish flag.
Flag our decent.
Flag of our decency.
Give honor to our holy and divine charter.
Give honor to our holy and divine child.
Give honor to our media team.
Give honor to our media team.
You're doing a great job.
They're doing a great job.
Give honor to all our sick and shut-ins.
Give honor to all those who shut in.
Give honor to everybody that's watching and listening right now.
Give honor to everybody that's watching and listening right now.
Give honor to man.
Give honor to man.
Peace.
Peace.
It's time. I'll read from Salvation of God's Unity, More Scientific American Divine Constitution Dialogue. Act 1. The Grand Chief and Chairman of the More Scientific America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the prophet in the grand matter of the More Scientific America. The Assistant Grand Chief is to assist the Grand Chief in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known before the members of the More Scientific America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed prompt, according to Circle 7, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our whole day of rest. Because on a Friday, the first man was born into flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh, and ascended into his Father of life. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the More Scientific America. No member to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all. They may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must observe these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government. Because by being a Morris American, you are a part and partial of the government and must live your life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of Morris Scientific Americans is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of each state government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. Of course, all members must proclaim their nationality. We are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. They may know that they are a part and a partial of this state government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, Ethiopians. But these things were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted to 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a newer time now. All men now must proclaim a free national name to be recognized by the government and to live in the nations of the earth. This is the reason why a lot of great God universal name, God lead the prophet, to lead the people from the simple ways. Morris Americans are descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabit the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a partial of the different acts of the Morris Science Temple of America. Members must pay due and keep an eye on the necessities of the Morris Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband. Take care of your children. You got to do this your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting fallen man. All Morris Americans can keep their hearts and minds filled with love and their bodies clean with water. This is my covenant from the Holy Prophet, known as through the guidance of the Father of our love. Known as the founder, Morris American prayer. God, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. God is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, you are the Amen. Lord Scientific American Home Office, 1000 North Horns Avenue, Chicago, Illinois, 60622. You just had a read from the Divine Constitution and bylaws from this time. Now I read from questioning this law for the Morris American by the Prophet Noah Ali. Act 1. Grand sheiks and governments, heads of all temples, all businesses. These said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noah Ali. If acted upon by any member, that it be financed properly or in alignment with the cause of those to sacrifice finance, etc. It will call support in a group of members. And if one author about he is also subject to be removed from his office under heavy restrictions, etc. by the prophet or the minor sheep. Act 2. All members are to attend that meeting in the public meeting pump. If members found standing around the meeting first, shall be fined 50% on the first case. And on the second, he will be fined $1, restoring your emergency fund. The member's working his money dues must be paid. If he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Morris Assistance Fund, because it takes finance self-definition. Act 3. It's lawful and divine due to every good member, if he is able to finance aid and save the nation. And if he does not, he is enemy to the cause of his own people, and justice must keep you. That would be he or she, according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. As I have power vested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use their assertion against the American flag or speak back against the church or any member, any organized group. That we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must properly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school. The teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire, and that every member exercises fast and so is able to do so, because out from the Sunday school comes the guidance of the nation. Act 6. Of course, all members must proclaim their nationality. We are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. They may know that they are a part of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, Ethiopians. Because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted to 1865 during the time of slavery. This is a newer time now. All men therefore must proclaim their free national name and recognized by the government and to live in the nations of the earth. This is the our great God of the universe, whose name is known to our leading prophet, to redeem the people from their simple ways. The Morris Americans are descendants of the ancient Moabite who inhabit the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. 7. All members must promptly attend the meeting and become a part and part of all of the acts of the Moore Science Temple. Members must pay dues, keep an eye on all necessities of the Moore Science Temple. Then you are entitled to the name of prayer. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband. Take care of your children. Look after you with your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother, be indulgent, and become a part of the upliftment for home life. All mortal Americans must keep their hearts and their minds filled with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant of the Holy Prophet, Lord, you are believed, with the guidance of the power of God and love. Peace.
Peace.
Islam.
Islam.
This time we'll read from the Holy Koran and the Moore Science Temple of America. Surah 7 is divinely declared by the noble prophet through our lead, by the guidance of the Father, God, Allah, great God, the universe, the redeemed man, from the simple thought of saving humanity, back to the high and the light of God and Allah. I'll read from Divine Instruction of the Holy Prophet, chapter 25, Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, found on page 35. I'll read it as titled. Ye are the children of one Father, divided by his care, and the breast of one mother that give you son. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite you with their brothers. The peace and happiness will dwell in the Father's house. When ye shall race in the world, remember the relation bind you to love and unity, and refer to that as spring for their own blood. If the brothers in adversity assist him, if the sisters in trouble forsake her now, so shall the fortune that the Father contribute to the glory of his whole race, which can be continued to you all in the love to each other. Peace. Peace. Our Sunday school is officially open at this time. Not anybody downstairs out there. No. So now. Islam.
Islam.
This time, let's take a moment of silence. Raise our thoughts into wisdom. Send our prayer for our sick and shed in, and all our humanity that need prayer at this time. We start now. Islam. Islam. This time without further delay, we'll call down the instructor of the day. It'll be our assistant Brian Sheik here at Temple 71 for the decent day.
Allah, the universe, all with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. God is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy rock, through our lead. Amen.
Islam, Lord.
Islam.
First, I give praise to Allah, the great God of the universe, God of the mercy. And it's an honor just to be here today. Everybody feel it?
Islam.
Everybody got a question there? Who made it?
Allah.
Who is Allah?
Allah is the Father of the universe.
Can we see him?
No,
Where's the nearest place we can meet him?
in the heart
Who is known to Allah?
is Allah's Father.
What is it, prophet?
Father is the thought of Allah manifested in the flesh.
I have a question. Let's talk about it. Why are we here today? Why are we here today? No prospect.
To attend Sunday school up here by the Spirit.
No similar?
That's right. Praise God, honor to the prophet of Koran. I come with an open mind, an open heart, to get all I speak to.
Sister Sylvia.
Islam. I'm here today trying to obey the law. Prophet say, continue meeting, probably continue meetings.
Talking about how your Sunday school from the guy in the nation. What does that mean? Well, Brian,
Very well. What's happening? We come here to get the information that we need in order to be safe. We also come here to get the information we need to keep the teachings of the prophet moving forward. We come here to get the necessary information that we need. The agencies, our brothers and sisters coming behind us. We got to keep doors open. We got to keep moving forward. And the only way we're going to do that is to be able to follow our prophet because he knows the way. And if we don't come to Sunday school and get the information that we need, we'll be lost.
peace. How does your Sunday school come to God as a nation? How can we interpret that?
By learning the lesson, having the knowledge to lead the class.
Remember when we was in school, like young, we was in school, and we had to learn our ABCs, right? So to me, and this is my personal understanding, the ABCs is questionnaire. How do your Sunday school from the God of the nation? So we got to learn these ABCs first before we can even proceed with the lessons that's going to be bestowed upon us. These are the ABCs, 101 questions. Therefore, we get an understanding of what we are about to intrigue in the Sunday school. Because out from the Sunday school, come the guidance of the nation. So we get a better understanding of the 101s, and then from the 101s, there are more things that come from the 101s as we talk about it, as we recite it. We know our ABCs like that. We should know our 101s like that. And then we should grow from there. Grow from the 101s. Okay? That's my understanding. And we're all here to have our portion of understanding what Allah has blessed us with.
I'm gonna get my portion from you all. You might get your portion from me. We're gonna just share. We're just gonna share. No one knows it all. I'm the instructor for the day. On these rare moments, but it's an honor just to be here. I thought about some things yesterday, but I wanted to instruct. I wrote them down, but you know what? I left the paper at home. So you know what? I'm gonna have to go. What is inside me? What Allah bless me with. So I pray to God that we all work together and that you work with me. Go be sure.
I was thinking you say, out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Okay. Prophet Noble Ali is the guide. He instructs us to imitate the prophet Noble Ali. In the Koran, it speaks about he left his footprints clearly cut, so all can see and be assured that he, the master, went that way. So he's teaching us to follow him. He left his footprints. In the literature, as we learn, we come to school to learn. It teaches us the do's and the don'ts. And if we study the literature, it kind of gives us a picture of the prophet, you know, with the do's and the don'ts. The prophet teaches us to learn to love instead of hate. Do not raise your hand to the hazard of someone's life, and things like that. So, as we learn these lessons and imitate the guide, then we can, I think like Brother Bunchway was saying, be equipped with the information to guide the nation. The prophet also said, I brought you everything it takes to save the nation and take and save yourself. So he brought us the information. We have to just take it and use it. And with that, we will be peace.
Peace.
You know, you know, each instructor had their own way of instructing. They had their own way of instructing Sunday school. You know, and back in the day, like yesterday, we used to be in Sunday school, we used to raise our hands and stand up. Right? You remember that? Yeah. And that was for the adrenaline. Because I have to ask questions, but it always gets stuck when I'm sitting. So when I stand up, I don't know, but when I stand up, it's like everything just comes out. You know, but when you're sitting, you know, there's some things that get stuck, or you might can't stand up. It depends on the ability of the person. But we used to do that, and it kind of. And then you feel a little something as you stand, like, you know, you're ascending to something, you know? But, yeah. So what I'm going to attempt to do today, I'm not going to ask you to stand, so don't get afraid of that. But what I'm going to do is that I'm going to call on certain people. I'm going to call on certain people. You know, not saying that you got to get this right answer, because there's no right answer in this moment time to go. You know, we got a God that's leading us, that's teaching us. You know, and the only way that we're not ascending is that we all have weaknesses. So my next question is, what are some of the weaknesses that we're stunt? Let's say stunt our growth in this movement. No, everybody got that point of understanding. Right. So that don't mean that that makes it right because it don't make it wrong because you say something. That's just your point of understanding.
Everything the profit going to right. That's all.
We ain't come on, bro. We come on. Jackson is.
Well, concerning what the brother was saying about what the prophet wants, learn the way to be. But bottom line, it says, learn to be yourself. Learn how to be yourself. He's teaching us that. See, and if you follow his rule, his understanding, that's being self. Now, there's 1,000 ways and 1,000 spirits that you need to jump out of it. You got to be like you've been ready to go into now. You got to be able to understand and wonder why they're there. That false life. That false life that have messed me up for many years. The false life.
Okay, that's your voice. Okay.
You know, because half of my life in the penitentiary, all, you know, and the life that I was living. So that false life that I was living, I'm no longer practicing the habits of false life. So that's all.
Sister Gila?
Can you go back to the question that you asked?
Anybody question that?
Yeah, you said,
I got it.
No, I got the question.
Out from the sunlight because the guy.
The question is, what are some of the things that can stagnate you in the
Weakness.
It's weakness.
Weaknesses that can stagnate you.
That can hinder you from ascending. That's
Yeah, I'm gonna say negative thoughts.
distraction in the world.
That's
okay. Can you be specific?
Such as, what's going on in all the negative stuff going on in the world, politics, everything.
You in the world. So you're part of it, right?
They also say, we got 1,000 ways, Lord. 1,000 ways he can twist you up.
Bud player,
Yes. Okay. My way more is you have to be consistent in everything you do if you want to grow or learn. So if you're not consistent in what you or coming to the temple consistency, then you will fail.
I think we got a portion out of that. Be consistent in that which is right.
Right.
You can be consistent in other things.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, as long as you go out there and do what you gotta do, you're consistent. But that don't mean it's right. We gotta be consistent in that which is right.
That's what he said.
You know?
That's what he said. That's what we learned to do next.
So, oh, I'm sorry. Well, Kubir, I ain't see you back there.
Praise God, praise the person that point the way that the person that point the way to do not go is disappointed. So we trying to find a weakness. I'm trying to say that your strength come from Islam. You know what I'm saying? So I submit that the Lord as master. So your weakness can come from many ways because they say it takes 1,000 ways that can be destroyed, but only one way that a man can be produced. So you gotta look at that as a Christian, as a way to say that the prophet brought that. You know what I'm saying? When the prophet brought strength, he brought the 5 principles: love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So we gotta look at that way. When we look at it, we look at the prophet was perfect. You know what I'm saying? Perfect man passed away. The perfect man passed away by being perfect. So we gotta look at that like the prophet look at that. You know what I'm saying? So can't nobody look at that because there ain't number one way to be produced by the prophet.
And so if we look at it that way and say that the prophet brought everything to take and save a nation, now he'll say, take that and save yourself. So we got to look at that as a weakness. You know what I'm saying? A weakness saying that what we do not like to do. You know what I'm saying? We don't like to feel sluggish. We don't like to get up in the morning time and do all the morning things. You know what I'm saying? We like to do all the things that in between. You know what I'm saying? The middleman. That's it. So we use that middleman, we use everything that says that what the middleman had. We wash America. You know what I'm saying? So we had the wars, we had the ish word, the blood word, we had the science word where it says that we use instructions. So we use these instructions, we use this as a way to make the prophet feel that he's more than a prophet, but still there's a prophet as the last prophet.
Thank you, sir. But you know, as long as we here on this planet they may manifest, we're gonna have weaknesses. You know. So we want to come into things that we got to fight. We're gonna have to fight as long as we're here. We have to fight until we get it right. But we have a God that's showing us the way. Not saying it's always going to be easy. They're not saying it's always going to be hard. I think we, like Brother said, we got to be consistent in that which is right. And then men will rely upon it. You know? So sometimes it's hard to break away on certain things. And then when you try to be consistent in that which is right, you find yourself by yourself a lot. You know, especially when you're doing the right thing. But you find yourself by yourself a lot. But you find yourself with more eyes on you. Because you're going to be that pattern. Especially if you follow the instructions of the prophet, you're going to have a pattern. And people will rely upon you. And then they will gaze on you. But you don't even know that. You know? So Jackson,
Speaking of patterns, we got two patterns. One in the high self and one in the lower self. And out of those two patterns, prophet come told us about each one of them. They ain't going nowhere. Stay in you. So you might as well deal with it the positive way. And the only way I can say the positive way is follow instruction. Follow instruction. Divine instructions.
that's right.
That's what the prophet said.
Yeah.
Divine instructions.
You find yourself a lot alone when you're doing things right. You know, I guess summertime, and as we grow in together, we went through a lot. And that's why all our sons are popular. I mean, somebody that look like us, somebody that talk like us, somebody that we can relate to.
So we won't go back.
That's right.
We won't go back.
That's
Try
right.
not to go back.
You know, and then when as I was growing, you know, I've been to different arenas and heard different words, and, you know, things of that nature. But the only one that kind of caught my ear, and this is not strange, was the Prophet No Drowning teachers, instructors. You know, I went everywhere on my own seeking the truth. You know, went to church, ran out of there because I really didn't know what they were doing. You know, the Holy Ghost and all that. So you know, let me get out of here. I went to the mosque. They was talking in some other kind of language that I didn't know. Right. So that's there. Then I went to sit down for a minute. And then I heard some instructions. Something that I can relate to. You know? And I listened to it for a while. for a while. But that don't mean that I grabbed it right then and there. But I heard some things, bits and pieces that held me, held the thought. And it took me a long time to gravitate. You know, because you just don't hear the words and you just jump right in it. So I'm still jumping. I'm still in it. You know, and still trying to grow and develop it. You know. And then at the time, you still try to straddle the fence. You know, go back here. You know, we put money in the basket, think we all right with it. Everything we all right with the basket now. We didn't put money in it. So we did what we supposed to do. But then we go back out there and do something else. We come in here on our holy days in Sunday school, get these, and then go back out there and try to use them. It ain't work. It don't work.
That's right.
It don't work.
You know, what a prophet said, you're a hard-headed stiff-neck.
Yeah, it's hard head.
That's what I'm saying. And I got to keep reminding myself, you know, it's time to get in the backseat and let God run the show. Let him do the driving.
Let go.
Yeah. Because the problem, when you look at the question there in the one-on-one, he's bringing us out of the cares of the world. So this is our salvation. And I got to keep on reminding myself, you know, I can't straddle the fence.
No.
You know, I got to do it the way the prophet said do it. You know, because that's the right way. You know, that's going to lead me to my salvation. You know?
Just because nothing don't happen right now, you straddle the fence. Just because nothing don't happen right now, you think we're all right. When you straddle the fence. You don't see the happen. They all don't happen. You know, law governs all events. You know, and then we wonder when things come down, we wonder why it happened. I'll be going to my meetings and I'm putting money in the basket. I got my feds, I got my turban. You know, why is this happening to me? I'm trying to live right. You know, it just don't work. It ain't no balance in it. You know? Exactly what?
Yeah, it's like changing the tire. If you didn't know how to change the tire and you go out in the world, you wouldn't know. See, Bob was here showing us how to change the tire. Our tire is running flat. You know what I'm saying? That lifestyle that you felt that you was running, you was doing all right on the lifestyle. It ain't no more lifestyle no more. United States taking away the pleasure, love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. He's taking it all away, but he's not taking it from us. He can't take it from us. He can't take it from us. What is being done in the world.
So, James, did you hear the question?
Yes. I'm just saying, I'm hearing brothers talking, I'm saying, the prophet said he's going to try to every inch of the life.
That's what
And he's making me
he said.
That's what he said.
Bro, you know what I'm saying here?
I was thinking, you could pose a question, some in reference to what was stun out broke. And more it's not something to learn. And my first thought was laziness. You know, like a lack of commitment. And then I was sitting there, I was thinking, I think it was said, I can't recall exactly where it was said, but it was said, study hard and learn fast. Study hard and learn fast. So we have to study these lessons hard. Don't play with it. Study it hard and learn fast. But because it's a lifetime process, lot of times we get caught up thinking we have time. So instead of we studying hard, we take our time with it. Study a little bit here and there. A lot of times we don't study at all, you know, because we got a lifetime to do it. And that right there will stunt your growth for years and years and years to come. Just thinking you got time. We also learned that the margin I promise. Peace.
Robert said, be careful. He said, what can do you good can do you harm. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So take that in consideration for what you're dealing with here. This is a spirit mode. This is a spirit. This ain't that you go out and speak and find. That understanding is very rare around us. So when we come together to use it, to go involved in it, we got to know where we at more. It's no game about the spirit.
What do you mean by study?
You read the literature that the prophet wrote. You know, you stayed up for everything it takes to save the nation and take to save yourself. The questionnaire, the Holy Koran, the Lord Sign Symbol of America, the Divine Constitution, the bylaws, the abortion literature, all our literature, humanity pamphlet. You know, read it. And then you may have to get a dictionary to look up some of the words so you understand what the words are. You know, the prophet said every word I spoke is spirit. You know, so some of the words, we assume what they mean. But you have to look it up to see exactly what it means. And when you see exactly what it means, then you have a better understanding of what he's saying and what the word is saying. You know, like you said, every word I speak is spirit.
That's right.
And you just assume what spirit is. You just automatically assume what spirit is. But you have to look it up and see what spirit is.
Right.
It is true that sometimes when we use words, we just automatically use them because that's what we've been using all our life. But we never even really look the word up. We just assume, you know, that's what it is because we've been using it so long. But in this more scientific of America, we have to go back and to define the definition that fit the contents of that particular word that we are using. Because they know in the dictionary there's different definitions. And we got to find a way that it fits the way that we are talking about.
Well, for instance, like this spirit that we in now, my way I feel about it, it's a spirit of understanding and knowledge. That's the spirit I'm in now. That's the whole key when it comes down to more science time.
Great, okay.
Yeah, praise God to the prophet. We go to this word, the spirit word more. We go to this word to look it up. And it's already in the great meeting zone, meaning death. So that's the lowest way we go at, saying that we Moorish, but also saying that we black by looking the word up. Then it turned to our English by saying that we using terminology by saying what something is. We can put E on the word more, and it return more with E on it. We can put more on put the last word ish on it, and become Moorish. So we gotta do all that by saying that that's our instruction. Prophet Noble gave us instruction. The prophet gave us instruction to do that. Didn't nobody say, go to school and find something to say something different. He gave us something to say, Prophet Noble what Prophet Noble said.
Islam.
Islam.
Yeah, you get a good education. They can use it. You say don't go to school. But Dr. Chandler, my thought was that not only that we are reading, you know how some people don't like to read.
That's right.
Some people just don't like to read.
That's right.
Don't like to read. I know when I read a certain amount of time, I can sleep. But we got muscles in our eyes, right? That makes you that's deteriorates sometimes. We don't like to read.
Everybody.
And then back in the day, they said if you want to hide something from somebody, tell them read it. But they ain't gonna read it nowhere. Especially our people. You know? So through our words, actions, and our deeds, we got to exercise. And sometimes when I'm out and about, you know, we exercise. We doing good deeds. You know, we doing a good deed. If you just open the door for somebody, you know, you might run through the door. Let me get that blessing. You know, open the door for somebody. You know, say hello to somebody. You know, all these are in these lessons when it comes to the prophet. You know, we practice it, exercise these lessons of our prophet. And as we go through life, you know, it becomes habitual. You know, in our everyday life that we exercise these teachings of the prophet.
Yeah, brother, he should real, how you say it? Read fast.
Study hard, learn fast.
Yeah, study hard, learn fast. You know, but I learned, people got different techniques that they use in learning, right? I learned over the years, I've been here a long time, as a member of the More Science of America. And I learned that if you take one verse at a time and get a good understanding, one divine instruction at a time, and get a good understanding of that particular verse. It might take a while for you, you know, and to go through that whole chapter. You know, because every time I read the chapter, I something jump out to me that I missed, or something that all of them revealed to me now that I wasn't ready for back at the time when I was reading all the other times. But me, I'm not. I don't try to read. I can't read and real fast and learn real fast and all that stuff. I gotta take my time, and I rather actually know what I'm talking about than to take my first jump out there. You know, so that's just me. Some people good at that. You got some good readers, and people that can really understand what they read. They can read fast like that. We call them speed readers. That brother can do it. He can read a whole book in 10 minutes. He can do everything in it. You know, yeah, right. I can't do that.
Yeah, right.
We all blessed with our portion.
Yes, praise God.
Portion.
Yeah.
That's important.
That's right, Mo.
Portion.
That's right.
You're not saying we got it all. Everybody got it.
Yeah. No, everybody got it. No.
Everybody got it.
Yeah.
Look, JD.
Yeah, I'm from Shingley, from the Brook, just talking about study hard and learn fast. Friday, you still play Jacksonville. Oh, yeah, I get inspiration, but I'm saying when I get the inspiration, because we learn from each other. But I gotta keep it in my thought every second, minute, hour, day, week, month of my life. So if I'm studying hard, I'm making it click for myself. What I'm thinking about is that in political wisdom, it says, a part of the verse, that he shortened it to make it more so. So that's my life.
Right.
So I'm saying this, that the prophet said in his own statement, that let my good outweigh my bad. So when I pass away, I won't have nothing to worry about. So I have to study hard. Because he shortened it to make it more so. I don't know when I'm going to leave this physical form. So I must do these things. Because I want to, if it be shortened, I want to make sure that my good outweigh my bad when I pass away. So that's what I got from that. Peace.
Let me get forward.
Praise the Lord and the prophet. Context. When that statement was made,
it was to imply that because we are running up on the fire, we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, you come in here and you get a sense of the urgency that we are facing. Take account of the news. Be realistic as to where we live, who we live with, and what the circumstances are. We do not have time to be playing around. A survey was done by Stanford University on the academic or scholastic level of this book. It is an advanced literary work, meaning that the average person with an advanced degree even sometimes struggle to understand this. There are concepts in here that are so profound and so high that mystics in the early days of the prophet had to confirm its validity based on the revelations it gave. So when Brother Pride Ill say, I'm not one of those who have been gifted, based on verse 1 of chapter 26, the gifts of the understanding are the treasures of Allah, and he appointed to each and every one his measure, her measure, my measure. However, let's take this into consideration. That stand has the capacity to extend itself. So we're not using all of its measure. We say that sometimes almost as if we get locked into the idea that we don't have room to grow. The measure shouldn't stay the same. And if that stand requires being raised higher to get a better, broader view of what it's trying to capture, then perhaps we, like it, ought to rise to get a bigger, better, broader view. It's not going to kill us to take out 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes dedicating our reading habits to something that's going to save our spiritual and earthly lives. So when Brother Shingler Ill says laziness, I know that kind of hits a little stingy, but come on. Sometimes we got to be honest with ourselves. If I can find time to watch a soap opera, if I can find time to watch Maury, if I can find time to watch all of the other nonsense or read anything that has no saving power, you mean to tell me I can't give the prophet a half an hour? I'm more worried about what the job gonna say? No, not while my life is at stake. This comes first. And so to all of us, first of all, myself, because the person speaking has to be the first partaker of the instructions he's given. Out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Look who's been our grand sheiks. Look on the wall. Look who's been our assistant grand sheiks. Look who around us has been our founders. Look at the people who have qualified themselves through studying this book beyond the surface of what it says and found deeper meaning to be coming out from this Sunday school to go on to adapt chamber, to go on to leadership positions. It says those who came out from your Sunday school. How else do you identify people who have the qualifications and skills to know who you want leading you? I'm not going to certainly vote for somebody in the standing convention who don't have the qualifications that has been proven by some of the fundamental answers we give in Sunday school. I can tell in here who got it and who don't. Talk much to fools and follow. Peace.
You still got your thought?
Yes, sir. They put him up on the lecture stand.
But you know, we got a couple of brothers in here that do have a little problem reading. I mean,
But you know what?
with their eyesight.
But you know what? I ain't read this much in school since I've been in this movie.
Yeah.
But go ahead. That's just what
And we gotta remember this too. Now when the angel came to Prophet Muhammad and told him to read, told him 3 times to read, and he couldn't read. You understand? But the inspiration through the Quran was given through him in that still small voice. Even though he could not read, he still received divine instructions. You know what I mean? The prophet Noble what do he call himself? The Egyptian Adak. Am I correct? I mean, so who to say how high an education that he had, but he still was an Adak. You understand? Now, what kind of education he got to get that, we don't know. You know, but he was divinely inspired, just like Prophet Muhammad.
Some of it just different.
Yeah. Thank you, Mo.
That's it. That's it. That's the word.
Yeah. Yo, Dixon,
Is first I give praise to our aunts and Prophet Noble. This remind me of my first sheet that I was ever instructed by Brother R. McDowell Bay. And the brother, one thing he was big on was simplicity. He said, man, don't make this thing too complicated. And I remember one time he was telling me about, learning how to recite the lessons and stuff like that. And he was like, he said, Mo, if you could just learn one verse in this Quran, just one, and make it applicable to your life, you can perfect yourself off of one verse. Because we got to understand that's the words of Allah. They infinite. So no one verse don't have no one answer. That verse will evolve in your life and when you're making it applicable. Because I can be in the temple all my life. Been a teenager, learn how to understand the lessons, look up the words in the verse. And I might use it at that adolescent stage of my life. Now it's applicable at that time. But then as I come an adult, that verse might evolve, like the brother was saying. It'll broaden. The perspective or understanding of it will broaden. And then once you see it broaden, like at the age of 50, now you using it in another whole way. You know, that's how infinite the words of the Quran is. And I believe that, when you make these things applicable, that's how you can, start to gain strength and be what you know and not what you told. Because we can read something all day long, but if you don't have a good understanding of it and then make it applicable to your life so you can learn how to use it, it's no good. Because it ain't it's like they tell you in the Quran. It ain't in the possessing, it's knowing what? How to use it. So if you know how to use that one instruction throughout the course of your life, it'll make your life a whole lot better. Peace. Peace.
Yeah, the prophet said he said she got to crawl to get here. She got to do it. He telling his mother.
We'll get the right. We want to get the right.
She got to crawl, huh?
We want to get the right. We want to get the right. But I'm saying here, you said something profound. When you say laziness, since I've been in this movement, the laziness had these words, it's just sluggish, weird. We get sluggish sometimes. Not lazy, we get sluggish. I know we grew up on laziness, but this movement, just sluggish. We get like that sometimes,
Yeah, that's a better term.
And it reminds me of, I've been listening to this radio show. I don't know if you're familiar with Joe Madison. Right? He said we want to put it where the ghost can get it. So we want to keep it in here real simple. We're not trying to complicate this what the prophets teach us. Even that one verse our brother was talking about that you can learn from that. If you read and you don't understand something, and if you live it right, Allah will reveal. He will reveal that lesson to you.
That's right.
Through something or somebody. You can see that same lesson that you read that you don't understand. and you will see it manifest.
That's right. That's right.
If you live it right.
That's right.
And the Papa said, just be. He said, just be. Just be yourself. Just be. You know, all that other stuff that comes with life, just be. You know, just stay on the straight path of what we're trying to do. And you find your life be much more easy.
So,
And this plain thing made, man.
yes, sir.
What I'm saying, man?
Yes, sir. I agree with what you said, but I'm gonna go back home and do my homework because I want to look up and see the difference between lazy and slaves. You know, no, I don't want to take up too much time.
No,
we
wait,
get
this is-
ready going to the
Time
Koran.
running out, whatever, man, now.
We get ready going to
That's
the
what we're here
Koran.
for.
Okay, but I don't want to put a whole lot on reading because when we spoke about reading, people got defensive. I struggled through school. Growing up, I struggled through school. I struggled with my reading.
I ain't like to be called on you.
But there's certain things I learned growing up. One of the things I learned, you don't play with God. So I never looked at God as something to play with. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali say, don't play with me, because I don't play. So I've always took this serious. You know, I was raised in the church, like a lot of us. But it was something, you know, it was the black thing. I was wondering why we call ourselves black. You know, your face is black, but our skin is not. So I knew something was wrong there. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was the only one that could straighten that out for me. So when I realized that, I knew I was at home. But it's more so the willingness and the seriousness. Like somebody spoke about earlier about salvation. I think Brother Herman Bay spoke about salvation. You know, it's the seriousness about your salvation. You know, if you're really serious about it, then you wanna be serious. You know, you don't wanna play with it. You know, so by me reading the little bit I could over and over and over and over and over, I got better. Another thing that when you take one step towards Allah, Allah will take two. Or when you walk to Allah, Allah will run to you. If you extend a hand span to Allah, Allah extend a whole arm to you. So if you make the first step, Allah will help you out. Will make it all better. You know, we struggle through life. But if you're struggling in the right direction with Allah and the Prophet on your side, He will make your struggle much better. You know, it ain't gonna never be perfect because, you know, we learned that, you know, as we go through these struggles, we gain strength. You know, peace.
Peace. It's not crazy lot on it, bro. I came in with Brother Point today, speaking, you know, communicating how important this movement is to him getting there. You know, what it takes him to get, you know, to his meeting. You know, and I want to, you know, communicate on that as well because I came in on that and I ended with Brother Hussein Hill, you know, talking about sluggish and lazy. You know, so I heard some, you know, some communication. You know, yeah, I mean, and each stage when Mr. Nails was speaking, you know, when he was little, as he got to 50 years old, in the process of
learning what he learned from government Dow Bay and all, and I'm seeing now where we at in here now on this Sunday, how important this movement is to us getting here, remaining here, what we hear and what we doing, to get where we at. In my life, how important this movement came to me when I grabbed hold to it. I was in prison. I did not know nothing of, this teaching. I know I was hearing when I was coming up from my mother, my grandmother, and them, going to elementary school, pre-K and all, when I had a problem with reading, had to be forced to read, didn't like that. I was regressing from that, and it had changed my life in the course of that time from now, but the habits became to be dependent upon from that age up to when I'm at 60-something now. This movement has straightened out, like we say here, the crooked ways in my life, the uneven ways, the misery, the insufficiency, misery, all of that. It has aware my mind to broader things in my life that I need to take a look at. Brian the Bay need to take a look at and do, to get his life on the right path in here. Okay? But it coming to this meeting as, maybe, to grasp hold more in here, with my understanding, how I see things from when I wasn't in the movement and when I was doing, when I got to prison and all that. I see the difference. Some things I hold on to. Some things I just don't, I just have not yet cut away. But this what I'm hearing is, that how important this movement is to, each and one of us in here. What it has done for us. Give Brother Smith, when he said the black thing, I see where how you came from, Brother Smith. It got that added into you. And a lot of brothers, y'all, the monthly staff, brothers have show, an improvement in dedication by practicing these lessons in their life. Right? I take a look at that. And then they say, if I, wanted to do what he did, I have to, ask him, and just watch him do what he doing. And of course, I may pick up a higher degree or be in another position in this movement. It's the dedication that I'm going to show to this movement. You're going to put me as a member where I need to be if I want to be even more. As a national official, and all that. It will take some dedication, some sacrificing, and some suffering. Okay, it's gonna take that. Okay, so yeah, I'm just on the communication in here, about that. Yeah, peaceful.
Thank you. So I'm gonna give back.
This is a lot more.
Islam.
I already praise the Lord, honor to the prophet, honor to the Sunday school. I was still meditating on the question of what can stop me from ascending. Some of the things that can stop you. And in listening, it kind of was adding to what I was thinking along the way. And I was writing some things down. But I know real quick that the difference between lazy and sluggish, I had that definition, by the way.
Yeah.
So sluggish, the cause is usually physical or a mental state. The cause is usually physical or mental state. Sluggish. Meaning slow, low energy, feeling heavy. Example, you're tired, you're sick, you're drained. Moving slow or thinking slow. It's often not intentional. But lazy, on the other hand,
is a choice or habit, meaning you avoid effort when you could have. Example, you have the energy, but you choose not to do what needs to be done. So that's more intentional behavior. Like I just don't, I don't feel like doing it. So that could stop you from ascending. That's one of the things that, because you're choosing something you need to be doing over something for leisure or for whatever reason. And I'm always looking at that inside myself when it comes to that, because I have on my little chart to read the Koran, and then sometimes I don't check it off because I didn't do it because I'm doing something else. But I'm always checking myself on that. I could have got that in, I could have read a little bit today, and I didn't even do that.
So, can you give me an example of, let's say, lazy? I mean, something. Well, it can be personal or whatever.
Oh, personal.
I'm giving you one. If you don't mind.
Okay, good.
Like, at night, if I'm going to bed and I got dishes in the sink, I would not go to bed unless the sink is out, cleaned up. I'm not leaving no pans, popping pans in the sink. I don't feel like doing it, but I will not go to bed without get that stuff in the sink. I'm not doing it. Be sleeping and everything. But I can't do it. Go back to your point.
So that's kind of like,
Which one is that? Sluggish or lazy?
Oh, yeah.
But you did it though, right?
I did.
Yeah, you did it.
I feel like
If you neglect it though, and that's like you're saying
I
lazy.
doing it, but I
That's
did
the
it.
but lazy, you could have just neglected it.
So I'm gonna give it a little bit more of a cleaner definition. Sluggish is like ability thing. Like you want to move, you act, but your body, your mind is slow. It's caused by fatigue, illness, stress, low energy. You're sluggish. But that's something like you're constantly doing what you're not supposed to. Now you're being lazy.
Right.
You're choosing to do something other than actually doing what you know you need to be doing. So.
Hey, brother, let me back.
So
It's not.
let me go on. But so I was also thinking about following blindly, because a lot of times we feel the pressures of it's in a group environment to just follow whoever sounds right, whoever is, and that could be stopping you from actually going where you need to go. This is one of the reasons why I feel like, we should promote what our founder and our prophet is saying, versus, we make Brother Jones Bay, he speaks a lot of great things, but we'll follow him for example. I'm not saying that this is wrong, but I'm saying, through the pressures and stuff, we maybe follow him. And as long as it aligns with the prophet and what the prophet is saying, then that's okay. But some is blindly following. That can stop you from really ascending in the way that you're supposed to be ascending. You can't just earth, So that's something that pops up in my mind. Also, if you don't find inspiration, like I know somebody mentioned something about inspiration a couple times, and I battled with that a lot myself, just personally. Just coming from out of the world of always wanting to be entertained. If it don't entertain me, or then I struggle sometimes with just persevering and getting and trying to get the message, or look past the person or whatever, all that kind of stuff. So those kind of things, I just wanted to add to some of the things that stop me
Peace.
Brother,
Jackson here.
I just want to, sometimes when we talk, right, I just want them to get the message.
Yeah.
You know, and opposed to just, you know what I'm saying? Just grab it. Brother Jackson here.
Um,
You lost your car, you come at this.
no, I'm good. Yeah.
I want to add one more thing.
You got
If I
to
may.
Maybe 12 weeks.
If I may. I was thinking about the reading portion that everybody was talking about. And that's something that I think about outside. So there's no happiness that came up. And I think about that often because now that we have audio books, you know, sometimes we default to those things because we learn differently, and that might be another way to learn or pick up, you know, some of the prophets teach. We may have to, because we do have an audio version of the Quran. So sometimes that may be it. I have one in the car that it just like you just put on the display as you ride, you know, and that helps you kind of to hear it and be thinking about it in that regard. Also, what comes to my mind too is when the prophet said that, I believe it was Truman, President Truman said that what I put in them, you won't get 100.
That's right. Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson? Yeah. Okay, that's right.
Father, man, that's right.
Islam.
And story. And it reminds me of what was put in us, fear. You know, we read back in the day, we was killed a lot of times. Some of our ancestors, so a lot of that could be coming from some past trauma that we may not recognize. You know, why we don't like to read. What is that about? And that's something to go deep in and kind of like really look at. Like, what is that? Like every time I want to read, I get sleepy. Every time what is that? So I mean, it's just something to look inside and try to figure out. That's what I'm saying. That's maybe I thought about that.
That's very true.
Could be something, you know.
That's what you know, we're in.
I had the sister look up transition. So you know we're in a transition mode. We're in transition. We are definitely in transition. And if you can look back yesterday and see where you was at and look at you today, we're not here to confess of all things that we did yesterday. Just remember what you did. But we're not here to confess all that. Everybody didn't come the same road to get here. And we don't want to assume that. You know? We come from we came from different ways. Some of us had to be still. Sit down and be still because we had too much going on that we didn't even think about ourselves or what we were doing. So we had to sit down for a minute.
That's right.
And then when we sat down there, we heard still a small voice. We heard a lesson or two that we could identify with, that we had questions about. You know? Then we find ourselves here, growing, developing, trying to maintain. We're trying to maintain. That's where the practice comes in. We got to practice. We got to keep on practicing.
That's right.
They say practice always makes perfect. It's always been like that. All our life, practice makes perfect. It's not out practice. We're talking about practice. I don't need practice. You know? We got to practice. Sister, just jump in, transition.
It says a transition is a process, act, or period of changing from one state, position, or subject to another.
We in transition. Transition it ain't hard. It ain't easy either. But it's manageable. We can manage that. You know?
Yeah, like you said that right there, so I'm not gonna say it because your conclusion, I'm just gonna say my conclusion is I just gotta stay with what it said in the Quran, political wisdom. Do as well as thou livest, and with God not what it said. Content thyself and deserve praise, and thy posterity should result in inheritance. So I just keep on doing as well as I live, right? That's all.
Is it the Quran?
Yes. Do as well as
We're
thou
gonna
livest.
check on the whole thing.
Political wisdom.
Well, just say it's not verbatim, but he moving along right direction.
Bro, I got a phone back.
Islam, briefly, and with a little less exuberance that I spoke before. The spiritual factors that are accounting for how our lives are unfolding and developing are as complicated and sophisticated as karma and as simple as practice. Our Quran teaches he accounteth virtue as the highest learning, and the science of happiness is the study of his life. You can read 1 billion books. You can go to every library available. If the instinctive nature of God is not in you before you get to the more science Temple of America, to recognize your hand was created for the extension to your brother and offer assistance to him, no book is ever going to reveal that to you. As individuals, you got to consider we have been coming from a historical past, sometimes where European psychology has shaped and influenced. Why? That's the point, a good point you made. Why is it that we don't like reading? But not only that, why are there different levels of moral virtue amongst humanity from one individual to another than the next? We go through life making presumptions about how God operates, how he interacts with man, and we presume that a cursory understanding is going to get us to salvation. I can clearly understand why now the prophet says, quit trying to figure out how you will be saved. Just follow me. It's that deep. It's that profound. But on the other hand, loving your brother or your sister is as simple as at least just saying Islam. If that is enough inspiration to remind a person by using that word, that we have a whole article on it that says it's a very simple faith to recognize your duty towards your brother man, your sister woman, your environment, your God, then how many more books do you need to read? I lay before you all that your heart could ask for. What would still remain due to your own laziness? Peace.
We're gonna go through the questionnaire. We were just scratching the surface before we indulge in this conversation about life. So, what's the duty of a prophet?
Save nations from the wrath of Allah.
Who was the founder of the Moorish Science of America?
No,
What year did the Moorish Science of America founded?
1913 AD.
Where?
New Jersey.
Where was Noble Drew born?
In the state of North Carolina, 1886.
What is his nationality?
Moorish American.
What is your nationality?
Moorish American.
Why are we Moorish American?
Because we are descendants of Moroccans born in America.
For what purpose was the Moorish Science of America founded?
For the upliftment of all humanity.
How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish America?
By teaching them to be themselves.
What is our religion?
Islamism.
Is that a new or is that the old time religion?
Old time religion.
What kind of a flag is the Moorish?
It is a red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center.
What do the 5 points represent?
Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
How old is our flag?
It is over 10,000 years old.
Which is our holy day?
Friday.
was Jesus?
He was the prophet of Allah.
Where was he born?
In Bethlehem of Judah in the house of David.
Who were his father and mother?
Joseph and Mary.
Will you give a brief line genealogy when Jesus came?
Some of the great fathers who Jesus came are Abraham, boys of Jesse, David, Solomon, Hezekiah, Joseph, and Mary.
Why did Allah send Jesus to the earth?
To save Israel from the line and oppression of the nations who was governed a portion of Palestine at that time.
How long has that been?
About 2,000 years ago.
What was the nationality of Ruth?
Ruth was Moabite.
What is the modern name for Moabite?
Morocco.
Where is the Moroccan Empire?
Northwest Mexico.
What is the modern name for Mexico?
Africa.
What is the title given to our ruler in Morocco?
Sultan.
Where did we get the name Jesus?
From the east.
What does the name Jesus mean?
Jesus means justice.
Did the angel get to the child that was called Jesus the holy name?
Yes, it will not be used by those who are slaves to sins.
What is an angel?
Angels thought of Allah manifested in human flesh.
What are angels used for?
Prayer message to all of the world of all nations.
What is our prophet to us?
He's an angel of Allah who sent prayer that commands us Allah.
What is the everlasting gospel?
It is the saving power that comes from Allah of our ancient fathers by his prophet.
What is the covenant of the great God Allah?
Honor thy father and thy mother, that their days may be long upon the earth, and restore thy Allah and his need.
At what age did Jesus begin to teach?
At the age of 12,
Where did he teach?
in Africa and Europe,
How long did he teach?
18 years.
What did Jesus say to make you free?
Truth.
What is truth?
Truth is all.
What is all?
All is Allah.
Can truth change?
Truth cannot change or pass away.
What other name did we get to truth?
Holy breath.
What have you said about Holy Ghost?
All we can say is great, is good, was, is, and always be.
At what place on earth was the physical part of man formed?
In God of Eden,
Where is the God of Eden?
in the land of Canaan, and the city of Mecca.
What is the modern name for God of Eden?
Mecca.
What is the name of the first physical man?
His name cannot be used on one night, the root of the AC, and the MSC of A.
What are the words of the HC of the MST of A?
That change of the most science of the third.
Who were Adam and Eve?
Yeah, I'm a father, and
Where did they go?
they went to Egypt.
What is the modern name given to their children?
Egypt.
Who is God in the holy city of Mecca to keep the unbelievers away?
Egypt.
Repeat again, Mo.
Who is the God in the holy city of Mecca to keep the unbelievers away?
Egypt.
What is the modern name for those angels?
Egypt.
What is the shade of their skin? Are the Moorish Americans in relation to those angels?
Yes, we all have the same father and mother.
Give 5 names that are given to the descendants of Adam and Eve.
Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, beast.
What is the devil sometimes called?
The Lord self.
How many cells are there?
2.
Name them.
High self, low self.
What people represent the high self?
Angels who cast out the city of Mecca.
What people represent the lower self?
Those who cast out the city, those who accept the teachings.
What is the high self?
High self is love of virtue, is harmony, is life, and breeds justice, mercy, love, and right.
Can the high self pass away?
No,
Why?
because of Allah and
What does the lower self breathe?
hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, death, and everything in harm.
What did the high self say to the lower self at one time when he met him?
We are going to say,
What was the answer that the lower self gave to the high self?
I'm going to sue for the earth, seeking my great power.
Has he finished his task of dividing?
Yes,
When was his time declared out?
we hear Jesus on the cross.
What are the last words Jesus uttered?
It is finished.
What did he have reference to?
He had reference to him saying,
Did Jesus say that he would return to conquer him?
yes,
What is the name of the person into whom Jesus was first reincarnated?
Prophet Muhammad conquered.
Was Satan be bound in?
Satan was around God.
When was the head of Satan taken off?
1453, 2018.
By whom?
Our mom.
Name some of the marks that were put upon the Moors on the northwest by the European nation in 1774.
Nigger was after Ethiopia.
Negro.
And they knew to the river West Africa by more because they had black water.
What What is meant by the word black?
Black according to science means death.
What does the word colored mean?
Color means anything that brings same polish or eye.
What does Ethiopian mean?
Ethiopian means something eye.
Can a man be a Negro, black, color, or Ethiopian?
No.
Wow.
Man is made in the image and likeness of God.
What title does Satan give himself?
God.
Will you define the word white?
White means courage, courtesy, and God means ruler of the land.
To whom do we refer at times as being a great God? Allah. Let me read that. To whom do we refer to at times as being a great God?
Allah.
Is the devil made in the image and likeness of Allah?
No, it's the shadow of ourselves that we ask for.
Who made the devil?
Elohim.
Who is Elohim?
Elohim separated the spirit of the air and the world.
What is Elohim sometimes called?
7 hours.
How many days are in the circle?
7 days.
How many days are in the creation?
7 days.
According to science, how many days are in the year?
7 days.
I'm going to read from the Holy Koran and more down to the verse. Chapter 31, Holy Instruction from the Prophet Justice. Let me read one verse. We're reading on now. Justice. The peace of society depends on justice. The happiness of the individual on the safe enjoyment of all their possessions. So, when we come to Sunday school, we're going to read about justice, chapter 31, Holy Instruction from the Prophet Justice, and our Holy Koran. So we encourage everybody to study. And justice is that which is right. So we want to encourage everybody to study and just have your portion understanding of all our blessings. I'd like to thank you all for your participation. I really enjoyed this. It gave me a chance to share some of the thoughts that I had. And showed me where I'm at. Sometimes we think we know where we're at. And it just reminds me that my grand chief on PJ here to tell me that. And not to ask. You know how you read sometimes, you read by yourself, you read alone, right? Well, he reads aloud to himself so he can hear himself. You know, and I adopted that, and I praise the Lord for that. Sometimes we read to ourselves, you know, but when you read aloud, it's like somebody else reading too. So, yeah, praise the Lord for that. Peace, Lord.
Peace. Good class. Good job.
More.
Yes,
I can thank our assistant grand chief here, Brother B.C. Faith, for giving me a word of civic school Koran class today. I got something on it, I pray that everybody here got something on it. This time, I'll call our grand chief, Brother P.J. here to read our warning. Please give me all this attention. Islam. We praise Allah, good God, and universe, to the holy prophet of the beloved. Honor to all the things the children gave honor to in the opening of the meeting, and honor to each and every one of you. January 15, 1929, Prophet warns all Muslim governors ordered to read proclamation at each meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical agitating speeches right of work in their homes or the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards in your fans and cause confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We offer love, truth, peace, and freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must take its course. Any member or group of members who open this experience for the temple or the prophet
or violate the divine covenant of the Morris movement will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn their card, button, cease wearing their turban or fast, and return to the state by the prophet founded. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet of the Quran. If the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine prayer to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet to the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sins by order of the prophet of the Quran. Peace.
Moorish American prayer.
Islam War.
Islam.
I think our Grand Chief of PJ's here at Temple 7 Room, Washington, D.C., reading our warning, the proclamation. At this time, that ends our Sunday School Quran portion. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father love.
Father love.
Truth.
Peace.
Freedom. And justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through his holy prophet. Through Ali.
Amen.
Amen.